It's your boy, what's the word?
I gotta say what's up to my y'all Smooth Vega.
Tuned into the Smooth Vega podcast.
The podcast bitches.
Here we are, and I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation because I know a lot of people are going to come out here, talk about themselves, whatever. The artists are going to go on stage, they're going to talk about themselves, but I want to have a meaningful conversation with the people that are here. So look, I brought a guest that I wanted to join me today, and this guest right here, if y'all haven't seen his content, let me tell you something, guys. He's from Fort Worth, Texas. He used to be a pro ball player, but he turned into the biggest and most successful motivational speaker there is. He has over 12 million followers on Facebook. He has over 2.5 million followers on Instagram. I mean, look, when you want that motivation, when you want to see that on your socials, man, this is the guy that you want to go to. Without further ado, I want to welcome the one, the only, Trent Shelton to the Smooth Vega podcast. Trent Shelton, where you at? Always. This has been a long time coming too, Trent.
Yeah, for sure.
So first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to you for all your success. You've been doing such a phenomenal job for so long, not only with your content, with your live events, with your brand, but above all, with motivating the people, and really spreading positivity in the world. So I want to just give you a big salute, a big round of applause, because we need people like you in this world to not only motivate, but to just kick us in gear from time to time, brother. So much
Thank
love
you.
to you, man.
I appreciate you, bro. And I appreciate what you're doing too, man. So thanks for the opportunity, man, to hopefully inspire some people. How y'all feeling? Y'all good? Y'all sure y'all good? Y'all hot? Yeah, I feel y'all. It's all good.
But we're here, man. So first and foremost, I want to ask, before we get into some of the deep diving stuff that I want to talk about, I want to ask you, what kind of led for you to get into doing the type of content that you do, doing the public figure speaking stuff? Like, how did that come about? What's the origin? And kind of just tell us that.
Yeah, so it's crazy because, like, if you ask my dad, would he bet, like, I have two older brothers, like, I would be the last pick to be a speaker. I'm an introvert by nature. I'm still an introvert. But what got me into this, man, it found me. Like, I never went into this like, I wanted to be a speaker. I want to have millions of followers. Like, honestly, I'm a person with social anxiety at times, so that was never my mission. Played in the NFL, played college football, I lost that. So once I lost that, I didn't know what to do with my life. And you see a lot of athletes suffer from that. And what brought me to doing what I do was my best friend committed suicide. So my college roommate, my best friend committed suicide, and he killed himself because he lost sports, he lost a relationship, and he felt like his life wasn't worth living. So I went to his service and I promised him that I would live the rest of my life. This was in 2011. I would live the rest of my life, helping people know their self-worth and let people know just because you lose something, you don't have to lose your life. And so that's what pushed me into it.
Wow. Well, look, today I wanna kind of give you a little bit about myself, and I want to let you guys in a little bit because I'm going through a really interesting time in my life right now, and I've been having this spiritual tug of war. So for the past 5 months, I've been saying I want to get baptized, and believe me when I tell you, I still want to get baptized. It's just been a matter of timing, but I want to speak on this, and I want to get your perspective on this. When I talk about baptized, to me, it's symbolic, right? For me, it's the reset button, right? There's no way to start over, but don't ever let nobody tell you that it's too late to change. You know what I'm saying? Because what I've come to the realization of is, for so long, you talk about purpose. I feel like in terms of my career, always put my career in front of my family. Always put my career in front of my friends. And here I am today, standing in front of you guys on what would be perceived as one of the biggest days of my career. And my family's not in attendance, but look, I don't want no pity, I don't want no sympathy. Because love and respect, it's earned, it's not given, right? I abused that for so long. And so I've been having God talk to me, and as God's talking to me, He's telling me, look, son, I gave you God-given gifts. You could be the rock star manager. You could be the rock star podcaster. You could be the rock star, all of that. But until you walk with me, you're not gonna hit that ultimate potential, right? God-given, you're going to be able to do this, that, and the third. But eventually when it goes upside down, you're going to come right back here. So what you waiting for? Why are we fighting this fight? Come with me now, walk with me now, and let's get there now. When you hear of that, and I'm sure you've been there and you've seen other people be there, what do you tell those people that are in that transitional phase of their life to just be better?
Yeah, I think we all can relate because, you know, if you look back at my past, like, this was probably 2008, I'll probably be on another stage trying to rap or something, right? And it's just, that's what I wanted to do with my life. And those situations that happen, losing my friend, losing myself, depression, all the things that as human beings, everybody sitting in this audience right now, we all have a struggle, whether we admit it or not. And so the thing I had to realize and I had to ask myself this question is like, what do I want to leave here once I leave here as far as legacy? I got kids, I got family, my wife is sitting right there. And so like, do I want to just be a person that's rich, famous, that everybody knows? Or do I want to live out my purpose and live something that means more than just some analytics or just some notoriety? And so the biggest battle I had, bro, was, man, I'm not perfect to live for God. Man, my past is too bad. Man, people gonna judge me. And I had to realize that people are judging you regardless. You'll never be perfect for people who are committed to misunderstanding you. So you gotta really dive in deep and ask yourself, like, what do you want to leave here? Because one thing is for sure, you're going to meet the future version of yourself. And so for me, I don't think about now, I think about 15 years from now, 10 years from now. What does the future Trent tell me? And that future version of myself said, hey, if you want to have peace in your life, if you want to find purpose in your life, if you want to feel whole, like you really matter because you did something that mattered, this is the road that you have to take. And it's tough because I lost people, I lost friends. A lot of people didn't understand. So I would tell you to follow that soul pull that's telling you this is the way to go, because no matter if you lose all the things that come with it, you're going to have peace. And to me, peace is the most important thing a person can have.
And I also think fulfillment means so much, right? Because from my perspective, like, you think about it, right? From let's use the analogy of someone that has a high-paying job, right? You get a high-paying job, but at what cost? It eats up all your time. It takes you away from your loved ones. And here you are, you got all the money in the world, but you don't have the time to enjoy it, right? Now on the flip side, let's use the analogy of, okay, now you have a job that pays you just enough to get by, pays your bills, but it frees up the time for you to do what you love, to be with the people that you love. Which one means more to you, right? I'm at that point in my life where I feel purpose and fulfillment means more to me than anything. Success is subjective. In a lot of ways, success is an illusion, right? And I think sometimes we get caught up with social media and we try to keep up with the Joneses. We try to keep up with what we perceive success to be. But success comes from within, right? And I also say this often, right? For so long, and I'm not proud to say these things, right? But for so long, I was a liar, I was a cheater, I was a manipulator, right? And I didn't realize that these traumas that I was experiencing came from way before I even realized that I can comprehend or register. Talking about my father, love my father to death. As he's getting older, he's trying his absolute hardest to get close to me, right? But as I've gotten older, I realized, like, damn, man, all those years that I was a kid and I watched my father and my mother, their relationship, their dynamic, they programmed me to be the person that I am today. And I remember feeling as a kid, I was like, man, I'll never want to treat a woman the way that my father treated my mother. And then I became 35, 36, 37. I looked up and I realized, damn, I'm treating my woman just like my father treated like my mother. And it bothered me, it rattled me. But when you recognize traumas, one of three things happen, right? You either find a way, you identify it, you find a way to get better. You don't identify it and you do nothing about it. Or you don't identify it and you become a worse version of it. To that you say what?
Number one, it's hard. I think you have to let go of this idea of just perfection. And I think that's the world that we live in right now with social media. I think so many people are afraid to actually be themselves. Like, if we ask people out here in the audience, you know, can somebody share a struggle? Most people wouldn't raise their hand because it makes them look a certain way. And I think, honestly, the strongest people in the world are the people that can admit, like you just did, that you had weaknesses in your past, that you've been through things, but this is how you got through things. And so Your past doesn't make you who you are. And the thing I would tell people is just because you have some bad chapters doesn't mean your story can't end well. I mean, you're looking at two individuals, anybody out here, that if you look back in my journey, I got a lot of bad chapters, but I didn't let those bad chapters define my life. And so when it comes with trauma, I'm not trying to get deep in here, but you have chemical trauma bonds to things. So a lot of us, it's hard to heal from things because literally we are chemically bonded to these things, and so it's an addiction. You're there, mindset-wise. So you have to change your environment. You have to do the deep work. You got to know who you are. All the things that are so hard to do that most people won't do. And for me is, I don't want my pain to be somebody else's pain if I can change it. And if we look at kids, I'm going to just say this, I have children. And one of my biggest fears is that, and we see this, so many adults spend their whole entire life trying to recover from their childhood because of what their parents didn't give them. And so for me, I'm open with my kids. I'm honest with my kids. My kids, I'm a hero to them, but they also see this hero has flaws. This hero has insecurities. I'm a man. I cry. I open up. And they get to see that. And so that's a part of my healing too, is giving people the permission to not be perfect and focus on progression with your life and getting better day by day.
Man, and that means so much because I feel like often, like you say, people chase this idea of what success is or what perfection is. But as I talked about my past and I talk about my journey to be a better person, to be a better father, I look at the way that I was raised, right? No fault to my father. He wasn't taught how to properly love. He wasn't taught how to properly be a father. And in a lot of ways, my parents didn't know how to properly be parents. But that's how you break cycles. That's how you break, as they say, generational curses. Whenever you're able to identify these things and you're able to say, you know what, I want to be a better version of that. I look at my father, and I'm sure my father wants me to be a better version of him, but now that my kids are 14, 13, and about to be 10, I say, man, I want to have the relationship with them that I didn't have, right? We want to be the version that we didn't have. I talk about chasing success. I talk about, chasing the career over everything. It's so funny that at some of my peak moments in my career, when people perceive me to be the most successful, when people perceive me to be winning, that's whenever I was at my lowest. But everybody called me. Everybody was calling me when that was happening. Right now, the phone's not ringing as much, but yet I'm here now, right? And it's like they say, be careful what you ask for, because when you finally get it, you're gonna realize it's not really what you think that it is. And here I have everything. It's like when you finally get money, and what's the purpose of having all the money when you get everything for free, right? So I've now reached a point where I was inducted into the Fort Worth Music Hall of Fame. I've had this podcast that we're having right here, right now, it charted on Spotify the first month of me launching it, number 41 in the whole entire US out of millions of podcasts on Spotify. And again, that's God-given, that's not me, right? These are things that are happening, but yet internally, I'm not happy with myself, right? I struggled with imposter syndrome for so long because for so long, the world viewed me as this, but I always viewed myself as this because I knew I could be better. And I knew I wanted to be better. But I think taking accountability, having self-awareness is the first step to growth. What do you think, Trent?
I think I agree with you 100%. And what I would add to that is I think the meanings that you give to things determine your life, right? So you talk about success, you talk about fulfillment. And one of the things that I had to realize in my journey, because I know you said all those numbers, like 16 million people follow me online, all these things. And I know when you don't have it, if you don't have a financial freedom, if you don't have all these things, you're thinking about, oh, that's the thing that I'm missing. I hear what y'all talking about on stage, but I got bills I need to pay, like whatever. And I'm not saying don't go get those things, but the thing that I see, because I'm around people every single day. If I name names, you would know them. Even with myself at a point, is that we think that once we hit a certain level of success, then everything's gonna be all right. And the thing I'm gonna tell you is something called hedonic adaptation. Like it's a fancy way to say you'll get used to it. Has anybody in this audience ever got something that you really liked and then after a few months you stop caring about it? Raise your hand. Right, your purse, right, your car, you ain't white, right? Those things. And so our human brain is programmed to get used to it. And it's the same thing when you hit financial status. You become a millionaire. Yes, it might help some things, but you get used to it. You get 1 million followers, it might help some things, but you get used to it. And what you're still left with is the things that you didn't heal from. And so for me, when I go through things, so I just lost my mother 3 years ago to cancer, right? And I'm having to be this person to the world on social media that's inspiring everybody. But I lost my mother March 7th. My daughter almost died 2 days later. My grandmother died 2 weeks later. Back to back to back to back and all these things. And there was no house, no followers, no money that can cure the pain that I was going through. And depression hit me for real. And so what I had to do was to get me out of that, because grief is a whole nother story we can talk about, but it's tough. And how I turned grief into greatness, as I called it, is that I had to give a new definition. And so instead of saying my mother is no longer here, I now say, man, I gained an angel that's with me forever. And that serves my soul. And so when I lost sports, if I'm saying, oh, my life is over, some people, the reason why they don't want to live no more, because they keep telling themselves that my life is over, my life is over. And how the brain works, the brain will find support and evidence of that. So instead of saying your life is over, just say this situation is over. This relationship is over. This job is over. This thing is over. But now my new, whatever the new is, my new self, I know girls be talking about soft girl era, right? Your new era, boss, whatever, you enter that and it becomes your new beginning. And so I had to make up my mind when I go through things, Vega, that anything that happens to me, and this is hard sometimes, I say it's power. Because everything that is trying to break you, if you look back on your life, and I'll ask you this question, I ask you this, and I'll be quiet. I bet all the money in the world, if you look back on your life, your biggest growth moments came from your biggest pain moments, right? That's the thing that really built you. The things that you went through that you thought you couldn't survive from, that's your story. And so I understand when I'm going through things, bro, I'm like, this is building me. I might not understand it now, but it's gonna build some power inside of me that might not even be for me. It might be to give a message or to give it to my kids later on. So I would tell people, be very aware of how you define things.
You know, you talk about the passing of your mother, and I'd say in 2009 when I lost my mother, it affected me deeply, and I don't know that I really knew how to articulate what it was that I was missing when she passed, right? But I do want to say something that you mentioned right now that I can wholeheartedly agree on, and that's the concept of death, right? People will say this person died. They'll say, you know, dead, whatever adjective you want to use for that word. But the truth is, for me, death is to no longer have life. No longer spoken about, that's it. As long as I'm alive, my mom's alive.
That's right.
So it hits different for me when I think about her, because I talk about the spiritual battle that I've been having and how I want to get baptized and how God has been talking to me. And I go back to these moments when I was younger, when my mother used to pray over me. Those were the moments that I felt the most protected. Never mattered. I always felt the most protected when she prayed over me. I haven't had that feeling since. And I said, man, I'm getting this overwhelming want, this desire to protect my home, to have a force field over my home. I'm getting success. I'm getting recognized everywhere I go. I'm getting asked for photos everywhere I go. But man, I feel unprotected right now. At times I feel my home is not as strong as it could be, partially because of my past mistakes.
Yeah.
And I said, man, what better force field, what better protection that you can have than God? And that's how I feel. And it goes back to that. It goes back to those moments that I have with my mother. And like you said, those moments that break you down, it's always the breakdown before the breakthrough, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, I relate, and I appreciate you sharing that with me, because I feel for me, as I get older, it's so funny, right? It's so funny as we get older, we always go, man, I wish I know, I wish I knew then what I know now. But as we get older, these experiences that we have, I was recently talking to my wife and I told her, I said, hey, you want to know something? I've been having this vision of speaking in front of an audience, this vision of speaking in front of a church and sharing our testimony. Not because I'm proud of it, because believe me when I tell you, I'm not proud of it at all. But I needed that. And I'm not embarrassed to that, because that's not who I am anymore, and that's not who I'm going to be and who I'm going to become, because my testimony eventually one day will change somebody's perspective that needs it. And I'm telling you, Trent, when you do this content, whether you're dealing with your own personal situations or not, somebody out there needs to hear that. They need to see that. And you're touching so many people with that. So I just want to let you know that, because even when I watch your stuff, I'm like, man, that hit today. I needed to hear that. And sometimes that's what it's all about. Because like you said earlier, we don't always want to admit to our flaws, our mistakes. But again, it's part of growth. Growth is never going to be comfortable. But I think you got to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable per se, right? So what do you think about that, Trent?
When it comes to growth, and I'll just transition to this, like, anybody out here got a dream or something you want to do with your life? Like, anybody out here? Y'all got something you want to do with your life? A business you want to start? Entrepreneurs, right? Let me see your hand so I know who I'm talking to. Okay, cool. And so this is what I want to tell you. Number one, and I don't know if this answers your question, Veg, it's just on my heart to go here, but like, growth is very uncomfortable. We all know that. And a lot of times you've heard this said before, outside your comfort zone where growth takes place. And for a lot of people, they're comfortable, right? They're comfortable with the same habits that don't serve them. They do the same things expecting a different life. And I want to tell everybody this. If you're trying to go to a next level in your life, there's certain things you have to give up if you're going to move up. Certain friends you're going to have to give up maybe, right? Certain environments, certain things that you're doing that are hard to give up. I didn't want to give up a lot of stuff out here. But I knew in order for me to be this, I had to give up these things. And sometimes the journey is lonely. Sometimes it gets hard. You question yourself. But I'll tell you this, just because the path is lonely doesn't mean the path isn't perfect for your life. And so a lot of people, they don't want to sacrifice. I see it all the time. They say, I want these things. I have this dream. The dream is cute. It's cute to talk about it. But the dream is terribly hard to execute if you don't be consistent in who you are and what you do. Like, success isn't hard. And I know people say, oh my gosh, Trent, that's insane. It isn't. Success is simply this. It's you making a choice. Most people don't decide. They let life decide for them. They wake up every single day and they live life allowing life to control their life. Period. They're not intentional. So make a choice to say, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna control what I can control in my day. Maybe it's I give myself 5 minutes to work on my business plan. Maybe it is I'm disconnected from my phone. I'm taking some me time. So you make a choice. After you make a choice, you gotta be committed to that choice. Commitment is staying loyal to what you said you were gonna do long after mood you said and has left you. So it's easy to make a choice. How many of us got New Year's resolutions that we ain't sticking to no more? Because we forgot about it, right? Even myself. Then after you make a commitment, you gotta be consistent. And consistency is easy. Y'all believe that? Anybody got a consistency problem out here? Right, we all do. I'm gonna just give you this and I'm gonna be quiet. It's so funny because I had a conversation with myself. So everything I'm telling y'all, these are things that I told myself. But I used to say I have a consistency problem. And so I looked in the mirror and I said, that's a lot. Anybody work a job that they hate every single day? You go there every single day, why? To pay your bills because you have to. You understand the opportunity, but you have a consistency problem, but you go to a job that you hate every single day. I know people are in toxic relationships that suck. And they stay there for years, every single day. I know people who went to high school, in school for 12 years that they hated, but they went there. That's consistency. So the question I ask myself that I want to ask y'all is, if you can be consistent at the things that you hate, why can't you be consistent at the thing that you say you love? And for most of us, we don't understand what it's costing us not to show up. You know what I mean? So that's why I've been able to be consistent is, it cost me somebody coming across my video to help save a life. It costs me whatever it is you want to make up, but once you understand the opportunity costs, consistency becomes easy. So if you can be consistent at the wrong things, then why can't you be consistent at the right thing? Think about that.
You know, to piggyback on that, I live by a motto that I say all the time, which is a dream without an execution is a nightmare.
There you go.
Right? So we talk about careers. I mentioned earlier how for so long, I've missed birthdays. I've missed anniversaries. I put the career, the bag, over quality time with my family. And as my kids have gotten older, it's affected them. I came to a realization recently. I'm an artist manager. I'm a promoter. I'm X, I'm Y, I'm Z. whatever you want to fill the blank with, right? If something happened to me today, these events, these venues, they'll find another promoter. As much as my artists that I manage have admiration and respect for me, as much as I mentor these talents, they'll shed a tear. They might miss me, but they'll find another manager. They'll find another mentor. My children will never find another father. So prioritizing is something that I feel is so important as I've gotten older. I'm 39 years old, born in 1985. I'm 1 year away from 40. But I feel so much better than ever because now I have experience. Now I have wisdom. Now I'm big bro, right? Okay. And as we become big bro, we're able to pull from these experiences. And as I talk to you guys today, listen, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. When I committed to doing this festival, I was told that the festival was gonna provide a guest for me, for this audience. And they did not, and I'm not upset and I'm not mad, I'm cool with it. Because when the opportunity presented itself to have Trent come on stage with me, I felt we're here for a greater purpose, not only just for this audience, but for the audience that is gonna watch this back. So all that to say, when we talk about career, the balance between personal and professional, what's your take and what's your perspective, and what do you have to say to that?
It's very hard. Anybody struggle with like juggling, like sometimes full-time mom, right? Full-time dad, all these things. And I'm right there. And we use this word like find balance, find balance. And this is my perspective, my idea. I could be totally wrong with this, but I don't believe the perfect balance exists. I think life will always make us unbalanced, right? I mean, you never know what's gonna happen. You can go through a death. So many things can happen in your life. And so for me, I stopped trying to find the perfect balance and I just made this pact with myself. I got non-negotiables, things I'm not gonna sacrifice. So my son's football games, right? It's an easy no to even the best opportunities. I'm not showing up because I'm not gonna have another chance to watch my son play 8th grade football again. I'll have another chance to do an interview or a podcast. So I understand my priorities, I understand my non-negotiables. And so for me, what I've learned how to do, wherever I'm at, I'm giving my full attention to it. So if I'm at my daughter's swim class, I'm trying to put up my phone and watch my daughter swim. I'm not worried about emails. I'm not worried about the requests from the world. A lot of us, I wrote a book called Protect Your Peace. And the thing that I see with a lot of people, we don't experience peace in our life because we're allowing the outside things to control our internal self. And so for me, I'm not a slave to requests. I'm not a slave to my email. I'm not a slave even to social media. I understand when I'm in the moment of something, I'm giving my full attention to it. And that changes at times, right? Sometimes I'm in a season of grind and building where I gotta be on the road more. But when I'm home, you better believe I'm fully present. When I'm on the road, you better believe I'm fully present. And so I think a lot of people, they dibble and dabble. They're around their kids, but yet they're not present. I mean, when you go out to eat, look at a table. You see, and I've been guilty of this, my family has too, so I'm not judging. You see everybody on their phone scrolling, not being present, as if those moments are guaranteed with your children. Forever comes with an expiration date, and I've learned that recently in my life with losing a lot of people. So I think being fully attentive and giving your focus, and I call it intentional focus to what you're doing, can change your life. And so that's how I find my balance, bro. Like, yeah, if I'm working too hard, I need to take a break, I'll examine that and I'll do that. But whatever I'm doing, I give my 100% focus to it. And it helps me not feel as guilty for, sometimes maybe be on the road more or sometimes not be on the road.
You know, it's funny that you say that. I struggle with that myself. You know, I was talking to my oldest daughter the other day, and when I was talking to her, I said, hey, I got invited to go to New York in July. Do you want to go? And she's like, yeah, I want to go, when it's not associated or attached to business, right? It's hard to disassociate that because though I've been there ever since they were born, since they were babies, I haven't always been present. And being present is so important. And to your point, we talk about the future as if it's guaranteed. Hey, what's up? What are you doing tomorrow? Hey, let's do this tomorrow. Let's do this next week. Let's meet next month. Hey, this is what we're gonna do in a week, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Brother, the next minute's not guaranteed.
Facts.
The next hour's not guaranteed. The next week is not guaranteed. we are in a position right now where being present is the most important thing to do because we're not guaranteed anything beyond that. Like we talked about money earlier, we can't take that when we leave. We can't take the social media followers when we leave. So we gotta leave behind moments and I guess in a sense a legacy for them, for our children, for the people that we impacted to really truly comprehend and register like, okay, this was meaningful. And you know, sometimes you like you said, it's that tug of war of being present. It's that tug of war of knowing what means what to you. Because everybody, like we talked about success, priorities is subjective, right? What's important to you may not be important to the next person. And furthermore, I live by the motto that there's things that are non-ethical and ethical, but for the most part, your point of view and my point of view, it's all perspective-based.
That's right.
What's right or wrong is perspective-based because you might see something completely different than the way I see it. But as long as we have that understanding, and I think that those are all important elements and components to growing, to being better, and, you know, to giving people that understanding. What do you think about that?
As far as what? Like?
Just in general, just in regards to like that perspective. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll give y'all like a tactical thing that I do. Well, I always say your perspective is everything. Your perspective can either be your power or your prison. And I'll just tell you this, the happiest people have the healthiest perspective, period. It's the people that can literally see whatever it is working against them and say, you know what, this is for me in some way, somehow. The unhappiest people are the people who have the unhealthiest perspective. Their perspective is their prison. So if you're sitting here right now, and I've been this person, sometimes I still am this person, where it's like easier said than done. Like, you don't understand, easier said than done. And while that's true, everything in this world is easier said than done, period. Getting up here is easy said than done, but you did it. And so with me, with my power perspective, I'm gonna say, yes, this is very hard to do. It seems impossible, but I gotta get it done, I must get it done. So when it comes to like, even piggybacking and going back to focus, one question I ask myself tactically is, I don't like to speak death, but if I had a week, right, a month, a year, a day, what would my soul immediately regret that I didn't do? And whatever pops up, it might be the dream I wanted to go do or spend more time with my kids, and it shifts for me. But whatever you immediately regret, that's the thing, if I was you, I would focus on. Because some people don't want to hear this, but I keep it straight up. If you don't do it, regret is coming in your future. You're going to get to a place where you're 70, 80 years old, go talk to an elderly person. The number one regret in the world is that I didn't go do the things that I wanted to do. That's it. So I know that's coming, so I'm always asking myself that question like, Trent, man, what would you regret that you didn't do? And even on the micro, I might even say this weekend, what did you regret that you didn't do? I regret that I didn't go for the opportunity. I regret that I didn't do this or that. And that helps me focus on what truly matters most, because if you want to live a happy life, a fulfilled life, fulfillment is simply this: spending time doing what you love with who you love. You will never regret that. You will never regret the experiences and memories you create with those that you love, I promise you. Because again, at some point, memories is all you have to hold on to. And most people live in regret. Man, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. You have the opportunity right now, and I'm not stupid enough to think everybody's gonna take this, but to the one person in here that I'm speaking to, you have the opportunity right now to not live in regret and go do the thing in your heart that's meant for you to do and live, period. Or else don't complain about what this world's giving you. Don't complain about people are treating you wrong. You set the tone for your life, period. It all starts with you. So if I'm you and sitting in this chair, I'm asking myself, man, if I don't do this in my life and I know regret is gonna come, man, let me start doing this so I can rejoice when I get to 70, 80 years old. But that option, that choice is on you. And I have my inbox, I gotta say this, Smooth, like my inbox is full with people complaining. It's everybody else's fault. Everybody, it's this person's fault, that person's fault. It's my parents' fault, it's my past fault. And I get it, that is true, but it's not your truth. At the end of the day, you gotta point the thumb at yourself and say, it's on me, period. No matter your circumstances, no matter where you're at, you gotta say it's on me, because nobody's coming to save you. Nobody really cares except the people that care. And your life is not gonna change without you making a conscious choice to change your life. And that's the truth people don't want to hear.
That's real. And we also, one thing that we alluded to earlier in this conversation that I do want to touch on, we talked about depression there for a second, right? And I know there's people that deal with it all the time, and some people don't know how to identify it, some people don't know how to cope with it. I want to make one thing very clear. It's common. It's okay. It's like a basketball. The analogy I always used to use is it's like a basketball that gets deflated. I want to normalize seeking help, normalize therapy, normalize having conversations with people that care about you, because you never know what it could lead to. That's the inflation back into the basketball, right? When a car breaks down, what do? You take it to the mechanic. So the same way that you seek things, the way to improve those things, mental health is equally important. And as I've gotten older, that's been something that's very, very important to me. I have a lot of people that are close to me that have had suicidal thoughts. I hate to hear that your best friend passed away due to suicide. I would hate for that to happen to one of my friends. So I try my best to be the best possible version that I can be for those people. But in the process, when you become the source of energy for everybody else, it drains you. And then I have to get my energy replenished. So I have to go to the source of energy that gives me that. I know who that is, but sometimes that person can't give it the way that I need it. So that's why I think that relationship, going back to God and that purpose, that's why it's important for that to be the foundation. What do you say to that?
3 of the strongest words that you ever could ask could say is, I need help. Especially men in here. I know women too, but speaking to the men, suicide rate in men is doubling, tripling at an all-time high. It's because everybody in here, but specifically talking to the men, it's because we think that strong means saying I'm okay when I'm not okay. And even to the ladies in here, it's saying, oh, I'm good when I'm far from being good. And so I want to just say this, depression is real, but so is deliverance. And there's chemical depression, right? Sometimes our hormones are off. I ain't trying to get all science and geeky in here, but sometimes our hormones are off, our levels are off, that's causing us to feel a certain type of way. Sometimes we have lost appreciation. I believe appreciation and gratitude is medicine to the soul. It's hard to focus on all the reasons why you're depressed when you focus on all the reasons why you're blessed. What you focus on is what you will feel. And this is coming from a person that literally spent the last 3 years being very depressed. And it's because I lost sight of all the things. Sometimes we can be focused on everything that's going wrong, Smooth, that we don't open our eyes up to everything that's going right. And so gratitude, appreciation, getting out in nature. Like, go do your research, getting out in nature. Nature heals. Natural medicine for the soul. And so when I'm out in nature, people are like, oh, Trent, that's soft. But I'm doing the things that cause self-care, right? I'm setting the boundaries in my life, taking care of myself. So if you're going through something, depression, we all experience it. But you got to be able to open up and ask for help. And I know it's scary because you're afraid people might judge you. You can't trust people because your private conversations become public information. You tell somebody something, they tell the whole world. You don't want to burden somebody. But find a source that you can open up to, because internal suffering, it'll kill you. And there's no amount of anything that can change that. So get help. I think it's the greatest strength greatest action a person could take.
So look, before we wrap up, I want to say this. I started this podcast off by saying it's never too late to change. I want to be a testimony to that, right? On the outside looking in, I've been successful my whole career. I've been a winner the whole entire time that I've ever applied myself to anything, except home life, right? Not to the degree that I know that I can be, not to the degree that I will be, because I'm going to speak it into existence today in front of everybody. I said something earlier. I said, look, today's supposed to be one of the biggest days of my career. My family's not present. But respect and love, it is not given, it is earned, right? I'm willing to put in the work to get that, just like I want everyone that's here, everybody that's watching, to put in the work to get the results that they want, whether that's that next step, that job, whether it's that goal that they want to hit, that personal relationship milestone that they're seeking. Know that it's never too late to attain those goals. Trent, you are an inspiration to so many people. And I want to thank you so much for joining me up here. Real quick, before I go any further, for those that are watching, please give Trent Shelton a round of applause real quick.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
In closing, Trent, you do such a phenomenal job of delivering impactful messages. I ask, it could be about whatever. Deliver one of those powerful, impactful messages to speak to the audience, at home, and let's take it home.
I would just say this, like everything you're going through will soon turn to everything you made it through. And the reason that you're here right now, it shows that you built for it. Whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is you're dealing with, you're built for it. So don't give yourself a death sentence. Don't speak death into your life. Speak life into your life. And claim your next level. Claim your greatness. Claim your peace. We're so good at claiming depression. We're so good at claiming all these things that don't serve our life. You are more capable than you think. And it's not just motivational words. I'm not just a motivational speaker. I'm telling you truth. You're more capable than you think. But you got to make a real decision with your life to say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Some people ain't. You say you are, but you're still in the same situation. So say I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and just take one little step today. Whatever that is, take one little step to say, if I do this, I know it's going to move me towards a better life. Like I always tell people, it all starts with you. Let's get it.
God is good. God is great. Thank you so much for joining us here. This is the Smooth Vega podcast. That is Trent Shelton. Make sure to follow me at Smooth Vega. Make sure to follow him at Trent Shelton. We'll be around, hopefully, I think. Shout out to Togetherland, Live Nation Urban. Y'all stick around. Summer Walker still on stage, coming soon. I believe Gucci Man, Key Glock, 3-6 Mafia. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me, Trent.
Thank you, brother.
It means so much to me. That was our set. Right under 4:45, baby. Let's go.